Spray Like Nation, another glorious day here. Why do we always have glorious days?
Every day is a glorious day when you work for Spray Lock.
That's why we have glorious days. We love coming in. I mean, I can't think of a better place to work, really.
Nope.
Years ago, we always talked about working together. Now we finally get a chance to.
Yeah, I would love every minute of it.
So we've talked about conveyors, we talked about quality control, a lot of different aspects, but the biggest bane of most concrete issues, the one that has always plagued everybody the most, water.
Yes, the old H2O. It's essential for life.
For concrete.
It's essential for concrete.
Essential for everything.
The usual suspects in controlling
Batchman,
concrete
QC guy,
Driver.
finisher, driver.
Stepping back a little bit from blaming a human being, let's step back a minute and go.
I'm not blaming a human being. It's just that whenever something comes in wrong, it's everybody getting pointed at. We all know that.
It is, and those problems can be really, really expensive.
Yes.
So the usual suspects are going to be your wash rack, adding water like we talked about, aggregate moisture being improperly compensated for.
Or not compensated.
Compensated
at all.
for.
Assumed certain things. I mean, we've all been there where, especially all those wonderful rain showers we get here in the south in the afternoons where your moistures are running great and all of a sudden that rain comes in and everything changes on you.
I know you're a fan. We've had several conversations about this in the past, Josh, of the phrase, show me how you do this or that. So as a QC manager, one of the things that I like to ask plant managers when I would show up to say hi or monitor a job or something is, show me how you are compensating for your aggregate moisture.
Right.
Thankfully, most of them would first point to their moisture probe, and then I would ask the question, well, show me how you calibrate that moisture probe, and they would run through burning off a moisture test for me, and all those things. I had one guy who had been in the industry for close to 40 years. He's like, all right, come on with me. And he walked outside with me, and he walked to the pile of sand where the loader was putting it into the plant. He dug into the sand pile with his hand and squeezed it and said, that's 5.5%. And then he dropped it and then went back inside.
Those calibrated hands are expensive. You really got to go to the right doctor to get those worked out. Of all the things you can go to the doctor and get fixed, calibrated hands is not one that I went to yet.
Oh, calibrated eyeballs are the other side. That's the wash rack side of things. But do you think I was happy when he explained to me or showed me how he was adjusting for his aggregate-free moisture?
The real question I have for you is not were you happy, but did he prove to you he was right?
Well, he did.
Because that's the big thing. If he's right, it's kind of hard to be mad at. It's kind of like what my doctor told me one time. I went in and she's like, Josh, every number I can come up, all your blood tests, everything's fine. You're overweight. I'm like, but what's the problem? Just lose weight. There's sometimes you can't really do anything besides just do it the right way. I know what you're saying is working for you, but.
So in that particular case, I did perform a burn off with him on the sand and I'm thinking the whole time I'm doing this, I'm thinking I'm going to prove this guy wrong. I'm going to prove this guy wrong. Sure enough, it was 6.4. And I looked at him, I was like, you do the math. And he did it in 6.4% moisture. And I said, okay, is that enough to show you that you need to be burning off? And he goes, well, no, Brent, you haven't took the absorption off yet to get a free moisture reading. I'm like, oh! So it was about 5.7%. So he was right on it with his eyeballs. But that being said, he got lucky.
He did get lucky.
And I'm glad he had that level of skill. But when it comes to a low strength investigation, if I had to have done one later, let's say a month down the road, I needed to know that sand moisture was done properly rather than guessed.
See, the funny part is I know a lot of those batch guys, and there's a good chance he'd already burnt one off. It had the moisture there, so when he walked out, he was messing with you.
Yes.
But you really never know.
You never know. So when you get a chance to control water, please do. But the biggest issue or culprit to concrete having extra water in it that is going to hurt its strength happens on the job site.
Yes.
When the concrete shows up and let's say the specifications called for a 4-inch slump max, it shows up, the finisher likes to place a 6.
Never.
Well,
Never in my time as a test man, I see a finisher want to place a 6.
We're letting the concrete leave at a 4, 4.5. It's a hot day by the time it gets there. So let's say it's a 30 or 40 minute trip time. Now he's got a 2. He adds a bunch of water to get it to his version of a 4, which is a 6.
Right.
It can cause issues. So
Yeah, because you're exceeding the water cement ratio that we've done a video on, and that creates low strength.
But one of the concerns, so I'm going to ask you to imagine something. Imagine you're doing a high-rise building in a city,
Okay.
and there's a lot of traffic. It takes 30 minutes to get from the plant to the high-rise building where they're pumping concrete.
Yes, sir.
And they're pumping concrete, let's just say several stories in the air,
Yes, sir.
whatever,
Been there,
15,
done
15 stories. By the time that concrete's coming out of the end of that hose, and let's say it's summertime and it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
You're losing a couple inches of slump just in, forget the drive. You're just losing that in the pipes.
Yes, exactly. So, as a QC individual who is responsible for the quality of the concrete coming out of your plant, you're going to want to consider the way the concrete's going to be delivered to its final resting place.
Right.
And you're going to want to consider, well, what is the best way that I can make sure that by the time that concrete's coming out the end of the pump hose or however it's being delivered to the site, how can I ensure that that slump is going to be right to keep the water added to a minimum? And that's where the conversation about slump retention comes into play.
You don't do the finisher trust me thing?
No.
Why not?
I mean, I've been around folks that do, and most of them get away with being just fine. But as a QC manager, you're managing the whole operation's quality with the idea of avoiding that issue. So it's almost like preventative maintenance. It's preventative quality measures to hopefully avoid a tear out that's going to cost a ton of money, because tear outs cost typically 3 to 6 times more than placing the concrete the first time. I think I heard somebody say. Check me on that and let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, because I just heard it once. But slump retention can be accomplished by using things like hydration stabilizers, where you're slowing those reactions down to where it's not losing as much slump between the plant and the job.
Plasticizers.
Your admixture guys, your admixture suppliers are going to be well versed in that. So have those conversations and talk about those slump retention issues. The one that was the most challenging for me, for whatever reason, there was a Chattanooga contractor. And this is not the story you think I'm going to tell. This is a different story. Chattanooga contractor who did a lot of curb and gutter, and he had curb machines.
Yes, sir.
He loved our drivers. Our drivers made a difference because they could keep the chute in his little curb machine hopper very, very well.
Right. As he's moving, they were moving. They knew exactly.
He was doing a job in Boone, North Carolina.
Okay.
Now, I don't know, you guys may not know how far Boone is away from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Around the country, boys, it's a pretty far piece.
Yes. It's about an hour and a half drive in a regular 4-wheel vehicle.
Right.
In a mixer truck, pulling those mountains of the foothills of the Appalachians, it can be 3 hours, yeah. So here's a curb mix, which is placed at a very low slump anyway, usually 1 to 2, at 2 at the most. And I got to make sure that it's showing up properly. And we're going back to the early 2000s here. So shortly after hydration stabilizers first hit the scene. We were able to make it work.
Gotcha.
By putting that concrete to sleep for that trip time and the heat that was going on. It was in the middle of summertime. It was July or August. But those kind of things are possible. Your admixture guys are going to know some of those answers on slump retention. Another job I had to do, we were pumping a foundation and lifts, and they needed 6 hours of so that the concrete could be vibrated together. So we were able to extend it out to 6 hours and those kind of things. So all of those things are things to consider as a QC person when you're talking about water and controlling that water content. Some people forget that water content that's added on the job site because a lot of ready mix guys go, well, that's not my problem. Well, sometimes it is, because if something goes bad, a lot of times then everybody that has participated is having to answer for what went bad. So it's much better to control it up front instead of respond after the fact. So I hope you enjoyed the video.
No other stories?
Okay, one more story real quick.
I mean, it is story time. I mean, it's
And this is probably more common than a 3-hour curb machine run or a 6-hour foundation placement issue. And that is, we had at a company I used to work for, there was a concrete finishing company that placed concrete almost every day. And it wasn't like a normal driveway contractor or something. These guys are doing industrial and commercial slabs every day. They're big.
They're doing several hundred yards every day.
Yes, exactly. So we started running into a few of their projects that had some questionable brakes, and I began digging back compressive strength test results, I should say. Brakes is what we call them. So I started doing some digging, found that the concrete got everything it needed. All the plant QC issues were all check marks. We were doing everything right.
So all your batch weights, you were all within tolerances and everything else.
Started looking at the delivery tickets, and on the little water added line, very few of them are filled out.
Right.
But there was one or two that said 20 and 25 gallons of water. One of them said 30 gallons of water. So I'm going, okay, now we're getting down to the issue. The finishing crew would get upset if they went to sign a ticket and it had water added on it.
Gotcha.
So they would tell the drivers, do not write water added on the ticket.
Gotcha.
Because they knew that would absolve the ready mix company of some responsibility. And they were a great customer, so what did our drivers do? Yeah, well, we took care of the customer. That's what we always preach, take care of the customer. Well, they took care of the customer in their minds. But because I had one or two creative people that were driving mixers that went, I'm not going to put the water added on the ticket he signs, but I'm going to put it on my copy so that we've got a record of it. Thankfully, they did that because it allowed me to get to the bottom of the issue, which was we were delivering concrete too dry for them to place the way they wanted to. Had a meeting with their managing director and figured out the problem and made a few cents adjustment in an admixture and gave them what they wanted. And for the next 5 years,
no problem.
No problem.
I'm just going to go back to the first thing we said, communication. Had anybody communicated on the very front end that this stuff's too dry? Because me and you had those conversations.
Yes.
You know, I'd get like, hey, man, I know we're supposed to be here, but you're getting way, it's coming in way drier than what it is, and I don't want them adding water because problems.
Yes.
Can you make an adjustment? So the communication is vital. Whether it's the QC guy talking to the test man, QC guy talking to the driver, talking to the finisher, all that comes into play. So no matter what we're doing with water or anything else, because even we had some that we would talk about like, hey, it's finisher out here yelling, it gets too rocky. We both know it's not the case. What can we look at to try to make it easier on them? So
yes,
communication amongst everything with QC.
Absolutely. Josh, thank you so much. And thank you for watching the video. I hope there's some tidbits in there that can help you with your career. Reach out to us if we can ever help. Like and subscribe.
Thank you.